Hello everyone, this is the Volkswagen E-Caravelle electric business car for a company car if you have to transport a lot, because it is an 8-seater and you still have a lot of space in the trunk. It's made that if you drive to a construction site, you have 8 people in there and equipment, and then you bring them home in the evening. I had this car for a while, I drove it a bit, and now it's time to talk about what I like about the car and what is not so amazing.
If your company has electric cars as company cars, of course you want your employee to charge at home. It's cheaper for you and it's easier for the employee. Tronity has a software solution for you to know how much you have to pay your employee for charging at home. With the Fleet Manager you manage your employees and your cars. Tronity connects to the cars and knows exactly when the car is charging at home and how much. And then you get an easy monthly bill for your employee. If you want to know more, there's a link in the description below.
Let's start with the amazing stuff, and it is the space. I mean, look at this car. This is 5.5 meters long. This is the long wheelbase. You can have a short wheelbase with less trunk space, but still you can fit 8 people in here and then a lot of trunk space. It's really amazing. And they can easily get in and out. Even the middle part between the front seats, you can go through to the back. It's so spacious, and it has all the equipment you need if you drive with 8 people. So we have a lot of USB-Cs, one USB-A, Android Auto, and so on. It's really great. Second is the drive. I didn't expect this, but this car drives nice. So if you just drive around, turning circle is okay. This is the 160 kilowatt motor, so the power is not overwhelming, but it's fine. You can also get a 210 kilowatt motor, and you can also have all-wheel drive with 210 kilowatt. But in this configuration, it's totally fine. It's comfortable. It's a bit noisy in there when you get above 110 kilometers an hour, which makes sense. But you have your lane assist, so steering assist, you have cruise control. Driving it is just nice and comfortable, and like I said, was really surprising. Something I don't like are the armrests, because you have to put them all the way down and then up. And then if you want to put them down, you have to go all the way up and down and up again. I would prefer the ID armrests, they're way better. Charging is not amazing in this car. Yes, you get a peak of 130 kilowatt, but at 25% or so, it already goes down to around 70 kilowatt and stays there till 80%. And that means from when I did my test, it took 41 minutes from 10 to 80%. And it's just a 64 kilowatt hour battery. The new version that just came out has 71 kilowatt hours, and charges also a bit better. It should be 29 minutes, 10 to 80%. But the range in this car is just not amazing. It makes sense with this gigantic car. You have at least over 30 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. If you drive 110, that means 200 kilometers of range in the winter at 110 kilometers an hour, which is okay. If you have to go to a construction site, like I said, and then back. But I drove alone. I didn't have 8 people and a lot of machinery in the back. I'm sure it gets less when you do that. Something that's very annoying is that you cannot preheat the car via the app. You have 2 programs for every day during the week, so you can select different times where it should preheat the car in the morning and in the evening every day. So 14 different programs, but you cannot preheat with the app. And I get it. You can say, oh, you know, when you go to this construction site and when you go home. But who says that the car is close by if something changes? What if you are at a gigantic construction site where the car is a kilometer away and you're working, and then something has changed, we have to go, and you can't preheat or cool the car before you get to it? I find that a bit annoying. That the car doesn't have battery preheating for good charging is not necessary, as I found, because the consumption is so high, even at 110. Because of the consumption, it heats up the battery just like that, so it's no problem. So unless you park the car in the freezing cold and then right away go to a charger, then it's a problem. But if you drive a bit, it's gonna be warm enough. Something that's also annoying is this, the OK button. Everything you do, it tells you to press OK on the steering wheel. So that right now with the seat belt, if I turn off lane assist, if I turn off the speed limit warning, every time it says OK. The other warnings at least go away after, I think, 8 seconds. But still, every time it blocks the thing, it's very, very annoying. I love that since it's not a Volkswagen ID, I can turn the car on and get out. Yes, it warns me and is totally freaking out that the key is not in there, but I can do that and now it's heating because you don't have a button where you say keep the heat on or something, but you can just leave the car on and not turn it off and it will heat, which is really cool. I like that a lot. Something else that's really awesome is the regenerative braking. This is not a Volkswagen ID. It doesn't have the same motors, I think, and it doesn't have the same software and platform, no MEB platform, so the regenerative braking is different. And you have an option to say one pedal drive, and then you have really strong regen, which is amazing. And you have D and B as you have in MEB platform cars too, but when you activate the one pedal drive, you don't need the B, which is a button, by the way, not the gear again as you do it MEB platform cars. So you just put it in D and drive, which is really amazing. Of course, we have to talk about the things that the car is not good at, but what it's also not made for. And this is long distance and driving fast. And with driving fast, I already mean 130. The car can go 150, this one here. You can have a less power motor where you can only drive 110, but the 160 kilowatt or the 210 kilowatt can go 150. And it does it and it drives great at 150, it's totally fine, but at 130, above 110, the consumption is just so high, it doesn't make any sense. Consumption overall is pretty high, but also long distance trip, like I said, 41 minutes to charge, 10 to 80%. And then with 110, you drive maybe 170 kilometers for, maybe 150. So no, it's not a long distance trip car and it's not a car where you drive fast. If this is important, this is not your car at all. It's just not made for it. For this, we need a totally different battery like the ID Bus, where you get 86 kilowatt hour battery and then 200 kilowatts of charging. That's a long distance trip car, even with high consumption. But this is not it. This has more space and it's more designed for really a company car where you transport a lot. We have a 230 volt outlet, but it's a weird positioning. It's not in the trunk or something. If you want to power something outside of the car, it's beside the driver's seat. So it's more that you use something inside the car. That's a choice. Maybe you can get, there's millions of options for this car. Maybe you can get one in the back as well in the trunk. I don't know. Because I went through the configurator and oh my God, is this a lot to change, a lot to add on for the trunk and everything. For the roof you can have stuff. It's really amazing what you can have. So it's a very interesting car if you have a company. What I would have loved if they would give it a bigger battery as well. And I mean really big, 100 kilowatt hours, if someone's and let it charge with 200 kilowatt, to see if someone wants to drive electric with 8 people and machinery 250 kilometers or 280, something like this. That would have been interesting, but I also get that then this is already 70,000 euros, then it would be 100,000 euros or so, or 85. Maybe they know what people use the car and it doesn't make any sense. I have no idea. But still, I like driving it. It's a different experience. If you want to follow me on Instagram, BatteryLife1, but that's it for me. Thank you much for watching. Have a great day and take care. Bye.